Home, 17. Visitor, 22. The numbers burned in bright lights, piercing the rainy night sky as the clock read 0, 0, 0. I peered up at the scoreboard through the falling rain as the final seconds of my college football career slipped away like grains of sand falling through my fingertips. It was like a bad dream. Senior night, my final game in uniform. A Wednesday night game on national television. All my loved ones in attendance. And I threw not one, not two, not even three, but four, not touchdown passes, but interceptions in a losing effort. This is not how it's supposed to end. This is not how it's supposed to end. I went through the motions of shaking the opponent's hand and congratulating them and listening to the alma mater and fight song from our marching band one final time as the rain intensified. The cold drops felt like salt in a gaping wound as I put my head down and walked up the quiet stadium tunnel. In that moment, I felt unstable, sad to the point of sobbing, and yet angry to the point of rage. As I entered the football complex, a thought entered my mind, and I decided to act. I was going to throw my helmet. I would stride into that locker room, and I would sink down in front of my locker room with every ounce of force I could muster. I would slam my helmet to the ground. Boom! Ear pads, chin strap flying everywhere. An explosion. I loved my college football experience. My teammates, my university. It had been the ride of my life, and I was not ready for it to end, and so I was going to unleash my rage and then grieve well. I can't explain it, but it's like I saw it unfolding in the future, and then I snapped back into the present, and I began to execute on my plan. I quickened my pace. I headed into the locker room with urgency, and I stopped in my tracks. And in front of my locker, with a former teammate of mine, was a little boy. No more than 9 years old. Shivering from the cold, soaked from the rain, up way past his bedtime. As time stood still for those few moments, he peered up at me with blue eyes wide as saucers. And his jaw dropped and his mouth opened, and he cracked the most amazing smile I've ever seen, filled with both astonishment and shyness. In those moments, I realized something. I was staring at myself some 14 years earlier. This little boy was, in essence, me. A boy with a ball and a dream. Dreaming of the day he could play quarterback. Dreaming of the day that he could dodge real defenders instead of imaginary ones in the backyard. Dreaming of the day he could be like the big guys. He watched on college football every single Saturday. In a moment, I was staring at my 9-year-old self. And so I got down on a knee, and I shook the little boy's hand. And I not slammed, my helmet next to me. And the little boy's name was Cole. And we talked about his football season. And we talked about his dreams. And we took pictures and signed autographs. And I gave him my wristbands and my towel, which I learned were still in his room years after this special night. And after a fist bump and a hug, Cole went on his way, smiling ear to ear. And I sat in my locker, stunned. I'd had a powerful realization. Being an athlete is so fleeting, but its impact can be so enduring. And so, in the weeks that followed, I began to revisit my time as a student athlete. And when I gave my address to our senior graduating class, I shared my findings on just how fleeting a sports career can be. The average college football player will dress for somewhere in the neighborhood of 48 games in a career. From the time pregame warm-ups commence until the time both teams head into the locker room, about 4 hours will pass. Do the math. And in a career, a football player will dress in uniform for a total of 192 hours, the equivalent of only 8 days. Furthermore, the seniors in our graduating class played a combined total of 17,129 plays, an average of just over 1,000 plays per senior. The average play in a game of football from snap to whistle lasts about 5 seconds. Do the math, and over the course of a career, the seniors in our graduating class played actual snap-to-whistle football for a total of only 84 minutes. Think about that. 4 years of work, 8 days in uniform, 84 minutes of actual football. It is a sobering realization. This is Gordie Howe. As far as we know, he is one of the longest tenured major professional athletes to ever walk the face of the earth. Nicknamed Mr. Hockey, Howe is largely known for being a Detroit Red Wings great. He was a 5-time NHL scoring leader, a 23-time NHL All-Star, and a 4-time Stanley Cup champion. You want to talk toughness? Gordie Howe played professional hockey until he was 52 years old. Yeah, stop complaining about your aching back. Get this. He was even teammates with his own son. On June 10th, 2016, Gordie Howe passed away at the age of 88 years old. Now, I don't know exactly when Mr. Hockey began playing one of the most difficult sports on earth, but let's just say he started when he was 8 years old. And if he played until he was 52, he would have spent 44 years. Think about that, 44 years of his life playing hockey. And yet, when he passed away, one of the longest tenured major professional athletes, he would have spent half his life, half his days on this planet with breath in his lungs being something other than a hockey player. My friends, the next generation of athletes will spend a far, far greater portion of their lives being something other than an athlete. Athletics is a means to a greater end and not the end itself. And if we can harness what athletics has to teach and then give it a bigger purpose, I believe we can build a future generation of leaders that make the world a better place. We can make athletes that make a difference. In its simplest form, athletics is 2 things. It is a proving ground, and it's a platform. First, it's a proving ground. A test kitchen, if you will, for cooking up leadership and character, and there's data that supports this. NCAA research found that over 90% of former student athletes credit their time as an athlete for increasing their personal responsibility, enhancing their teamwork skills, and honing their work ethic. Gallup found that former athletes, rather than non-athletes, are more likely to be thriving in key areas of well-being, like purpose, social, community, and physical well-being. And if we look to the executive leadership in the United States today, 73% of American business executives were once competitive youth, high school, or college athletes. And if we look at women in the executive suite, 94% of female American executives were once athletes. In short, athletics shapes character and it builds leadership. It teaches goal setting, work ethic, and positive habit formation. It encourages conflict resolution and building relationships across cultural lines. It models class, sportsmanship, and respect. In a world where artificial intelligence is the wave of the future and the most important skills in our economy will be people skills, soft skills, and emotional intelligence, I believe the secret to teaching these skills to the next generation is, in fact, athletics. The skills needed to succeed in the economy of the future are being taught in a pool, on a field, and in a gym. Athletics is a proving ground. And it's a platform. Each year, Time magazine releases the Time 100, a list of the 100 most influential people in the entire world. Since the list began in 2004, an average of 5 athletes have made the list every single year and are credited with shaping the entire world in a meaningful or impactful way. Our world is fascinated with athletics. We pay attention to what athletes say and do. And while this is true for professionals and Olympians, I also believe it's true on youth fields, in middle and high schools, at colleges and universities, and in communities of all shapes and sizes all over the world. Yet, we live in a time where narcissism is on the rise, up 30% since 1982, and where empathy is falling, down 40% over the last 20 years, and where 73% of young people say they want to be well off financially, while only 42% say they want to develop a meaningful philosophy in life. It is a pivotal time for the next generation, a time where we need the platform of athletics to be one of gratitude, service, and positive impact. You see, there are 2 pervasive mindsets in athletics today: the performance-driven mindset and the purpose-driven mindset. The performance-driven mindset says, athletics is the end. I am an athlete, and what I do defines me, and I am here to gain. And while there is nothing wrong with exceptional performance, if an athlete has a performance-driven identity, we are at risk for ruining a life. You see, when that athlete's identity, their very being and value, hinges on something that is not enduring. Remember the time study in the 84 minutes. That athlete is at risk because their identity is hinging on something that may be no longer intact. When adversity strikes, a loss, an injury, a reduction in playing time, being cut from a team, which will happen to every single athlete at some point in their career, that athlete can be utterly crushed. But if we move to a purpose-driven mindset, adversity morphs. It morphs into an opportunity to learn and grow and shape character and build leadership. We need to move the athletes in our lives from a performance-driven mindset, which will not last, to a purpose-driven one that can last a lifetime. The purpose-driven mindset says athletics is a means to a greater end. I am more than an athlete, and I am here to give. Do you see the difference? One says, this is the destination, this is everything. The other says, this is just a part of the journey, and you are worth so much more in this life. To further this mission, I worked with a team of co-founders in 2014 to start Next Level Performance. Next Level is an organization that uses the vehicle of athletic training and competition to foster the purpose-driven mindset in student athletes. To date, we have had the honor of touching the lives of over 5,000 athletes in our region, and we are learning there are 3 ways in which all of us together in the room tonight can build the purpose-driven mindset in the athletes of tomorrow. Those 3 ways are sharing stories, internalizing strengths, and incorporating service. First, to show athletes that athletics is a means to a greater end, share stories. Let me give you an example. It was a normal, every morning occurrence for me to come downstairs at my parents' house to a copy of the newspaper spread out on the kitchen table with arrows and underlines and stars directing my attention to what articles I should read. On this particular day in 1996, the starred article on the front page of the newspaper was about University of Florida quarterback Danny Wuerffel. Wuerffel was a newly minted Heisman Trophy winner and national champion, but the article was not about his football endeavors. It was about how he used the platform of football to positively serve others and impact his community. Fast forward 13 years from reading this article, and I walked across a stage and shook Danny Wuerffel's hand and was handed the Wuerffel Trophy, an award that honors one college football player in the country who best combines athletic and academic excellence with outstanding community service. Looking back on these experiences, what I now know is that my dad was painting a picture for my 10-year-old self of what he wanted me to emulate if sports were a part of my future path in life. He was showing me that it was a means to a greater end and not the end destination. And we can do the same for the athletes in our lives by sharing stories and current events. by sharing stories of our own personal experiences as athletes and how those experiences still benefit us to this day. We show the athlete that their time competing right now is of critical importance, but that it's a means to a successful life beyond the game. And when we share current events of athletes in the public eye doing good, like LeBron James starting his I Promise school, or J.J. Watt raising money for Hurricane Harvey victims, we show the athlete, and we can begin conversations right now, that their platform can be leveraged at any age for the good of those around them. Next, to show athletes that they are more than an athlete, internalize strengths. At the core foundation of our athlete development process at Next Level is helping student athletes take a character strengths assessment. This tool shows them their natural talents, it affirms their best qualities, and it gives them a language to describe who they are and what they naturally do best, both on and off the field. Think of the power this deep understanding of self at a young age has for selecting a future program of study or interviewing for a job. Already, we've seen incredible results as affirming the strengths in an athlete helps them identify their transferable skills, the things that they are good at and enjoy that sure help them as an athlete, but set them up for success far, far beyond the court or the field. Every athlete is more than an athlete. They are unique people with unique gifts, talents, and passions that can be applied far, far beyond their careers as athletes. And finally, to show athletes that they are here to serve, incorporate that community service. My friend Kevin Langs is a Hall of Fame head football coach at Climax Scouts High School right here in Michigan. To date, he has posted a 172 win and 48 loss record. He has taken the Panthers to the state playoffs 16 times, and he has won a state championship. He has 12 conference titles and 10 undefeated seasons to his name. But he has built this incredible success on the back of serving other people. In most programs I have ever seen or been a part of, the underclassmen, the freshmen, and the sophomores lug the equipment, haul the water, and get on the bus last. At Climax Scouts, the seniors, the leaders and captains of the team, haul the equipment, lug the water, and get on the bus last. It's all about a posture of personal sacrifice and service to others, and it has yielded incredible results, both on and off the field. We must instill in young athletes, just like Coach Langs has, that athletics and life itself are not about getting, but rather giving. Yes, we must compete fiercely to get a win, but we only win when we give of ourselves to our teammates and to the process of preparation. To instill this mindset in young athletes, the best thing we can do is invite them to serve other people. Running youth sports camps, reading to children, serving meals, raking leaves, the project doesn't matter. What matters is that it happens. When we create an environment where teammates serve one another and where the team serves the community at large, we show athletes that their platform and their influence are to be leveraged to make a positive difference in the lives of others. You know, this year, that fateful rainy night comes back to me as that 9-year-old boy, Cole, is now starting his own college career as a baseball player. I can't help but wonder, who is the Cole in your life? Who is that boy or girl with a ball and a dream to do great things with the game they love? Athletics is two things. It's a proving ground for shaping leadership and character, and it's a platform to be used for positive influence. I encourage us together to move the athletes in our lives from a performance-driven mindset which will not last to a purpose-driven one that can last a lifetime. And let's do it through sharing stories, through internalizing strengths, and through incorporating service. Together, we can make athletes that make a difference. The next generation is counting on us. Thank you.